In terms of getting started, I wanted to just say a couple of things. I first wanted to introduce Donato Tramuto, who is the CEO and founder of an international medical mobile technology company, as well as multiple small businesses in his hometown of Ogunquit, where he served 3 terms as a town selectman. In 2010, he was appointed to serve on the Maine Economic Growth Council, a board charged with developing and evaluating the long-term economic growth plan for the state of Maine. One of his passions is healthcare and making sure that everyone is covered as a human right. He supports expansion of Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act, and he strongly supports the subsidies that make healthcare affordable for the poorest families in our state. There is a connection between low wages and poor healthcare. Typically, those at the lower end are unable to access healthcare. One of the many reasons we should have universal access to quality healthcare. He is a recent recipient of the Robert F. Kennedy Ripple of Hope Award for his work with an international nonprofit that he created called Health eVillages, which provides state-of-the-art mobile health technology to medical professionals in some of the most challenging regions of the world. He was honored in New York by the Robert Kennedy Center, along with fellow award winners Tony Bennett, Hillary Clinton, and Robert De Niro. And he's now here in Bangor with us. So please welcome Donato Tramuto. Thank you, Donato.
Thank you very much, Joe. And looking at the audience tonight, I'm reminded of a great story that's told by President Kennedy. In 1962, President Kennedy was hosting a special event for the current and past Nobel Prize laureates. And in looking at the room, he said, "I've never seen as many intelligent people in one room, with the exception of when Thomas Jefferson dined here alone." So tonight, I want to first thank you, Joe, and the opportunity to bring so many great people here this evening. I'm a firm believer, the higher your collaborative IQ, the more you can get done, whether it be in the political scene, the business scene, or healthcare. And I'm here tonight for several reasons. In addition to some of the other hats I wear, I'm also the founder of the Tramuto Foundation. It's an organization that I founded in 2001, following the devastating events in 9/11. I was supposed to be on that second plane that hit the towers. My 2 friends and their 3-year-old were on the plane and lost their lives. And we founded that foundation as a means to provide college scholarships to those students who are in need. And I'm pleased to announce to you this evening, I'm in Bangor because we are establishing at the Bangor High School a permanent scholarship that will be awarded each year to a student who has demonstrated a need, whether it be in an area of fiscal need or a need where they need additional support in learning. So I'm very pleased to be here this evening. I'm also here tonight, and you have many other people who are smarter than me to talk about the economic value with respect to having decent and parity in terms of wages. But I'm here because of the healthcare issue. And because I think this is not a political issue, but I think it's a moral issue. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 25, clearly states basic health care for every single person on earth. And when one person has not had that right, we have violated the Declaration. It is a passion of mine, and when I see and hear and assess the disparity in wages, it is translated into the unfortunate outcomes of healthcare. There have been enormous amount of studies. I am chairman also of Healthways, which is a publicly traded company. We have conducted many, many studies over the last few years. One in particular I would like to cite here this evening. Since 2007, Healthways has had a partnership with Gallup. And we have surveyed in the last 8 years more than 2 million people. Across the United States, we have surveyed more than 2 million people, and we have identified the variables that affect their well-being. One variable in particular is their fiscal well-being, and it has been demonstrated when you have a disparity in the wages for those individuals. Their well-being score is lower than those who are not in that group. That is unacceptable, and we need to address that. I am in particular remembering a story of a 29-year-old woman from Spokane, Washington, in one of the surveys that was conducted by Healthways. This is a woman who had lost her job. Her husband was earning less than $8 an hour. They were forced to live in the basement of her parents' home. Before she lost her job and before her husband had a wage decrease, they had no health illnesses that had been manifested. In the 6-month post her losing her job and her husband having a diminished wage per hour, they started manifesting certain health care conditions. She was suffering from mental illness. Obesity started kicking in. Part of the obesity was kicking in because they could not afford to go out and purchase fresh fruits and vegetables. They were forced to buy canned vegetables and frozen vegetables, all of which we know has high incidence of preservatives and salts and all the other variables that contribute to poor health. I can give you one example after another that supports the whole alignment of good health outcomes with the ability to have a decent wage. I have heard the arguments from my colleagues. As a small businessman in my healthcare company, we employ nearly 500 people. In my businesses that we have in Ogunquit, the 3 businesses together, we employ close to 100. And I have heard the age-old argument that if in fact you provide higher minimum wage, you are going to cut into the profits. I say to you that is not correct. That absenteeism and presenteeism is a healthcare metric we measure. That when people are not feeling good, when they have well-being scores that are low, they may be at work, they may be present, but they're not necessarily productive. Our economy is based on consumption. It's based on housing and consumption and the economics of having more wages and having decent and having equality of wages has demonstrated that there is greater productivity, there is greater presenteeism, absenteeism goes down, and consumption goes up. Dr. Martin Luther King once said, "It's not the actions of the bad men that are appalling, it's the silence of the good men." And Joe, I want to compliment you this evening, and I hope that tonight that this begins the debate and continues the debate. And there's going to be challenges. However, I hope that in a small way that my message here this evening, in terms of one variable of aligning equal pay with healthcare outcomes, will move all of you forward not to be silent on this issue. You can embark upon change. Thank you very much.